Thank you for the introduction. I'm Marilena Giglio from Polytechnic University in Bari, and today I'm showing you the recent results me and my research group have obtained in the development of gas sensors based on a spectroscopic technique which is called quartz-enhanced photoacoustic spectroscopy for breath and environmental relevant gas species detection. So I will briefly show you the motivation, describe the spectroscopic technique we employed to develop our sensors, and then I will show you the results we obtained with 3 sensors. The first one is a benchtop sensor for the detection of ammonia in breath. The second and the third one are have been developed for environmental monitoring purposes. The first one is a benchtop sensor. The second one is a compact box sensor. And finally, I will move to conclusions. So there are several trace gas sensing applications ranging from petrochemical industry to industrial process control, law enforcement. But today I will focus on health and life sciences and environmental monitoring purposes. The spectroscopic technique we employ for the development of our sensor is called quartz-enhanced photoacoustic spectroscopy. It consists in exciting the target molecules with a laser having emission wavelength matching an absorption line of the target gas. The laser is modulated in order to generate pressure waves, which are detected using a quartz tuning fork, resonant with the produced pressure wave, which is, of course, a sound wave. Due to the piezoelectric effect, the mechanical displacement of the prongs of the QTF resonant with the acoustic wave generate charge distribution on the surface of the prongs, which are collected using gold electrodes. And the obtained signal is proportional to the laser power exciting the gas molecule, the absorption coefficient of the molecules, and the quality factor of the resonator. There are several advantages of this technique. First of all, we deal with small detection module volume. It is an extremely high sensitivity and selectivity technique. There's a wide dynamic range of pressure and temperature. There's no need for an optical detector. And the quartz tuning fork which are employed in our sensors can be customized depending on the target gas molecules. And also the responsivity of a QTF is independent on the emission wavelength of the laser source, which means that the same detector can be used when a laser source emitting in the, I don't know, ultraviolet or mid-infrared or even terahertz range. So the first sensor I'm showing you is has been developed to detect ammonia in human breath. Ammonia concentration exhaled from human alveoli is generally several hundreds of ppbs. However, concentration levels greater than 1 ppm are linked to kidney failure. Moreover, recently, a strong correlation with the blood urea nitrogen in patients which are performing hemodialysis in end-stage renal disease have been demonstrated. So this means that the detection of ammonia in real time exhaled by humans can be used as a powerful tool to detect both renal failure and also to track the process of hemodialysis. Here you can see the setup of our sensor. We excited the target molecules, so ammonia molecules, using a near-infrared distributed feedback diode laser. And since the optical power is proportional to the since the kappa signal is proportional to the optical power exciting the gas molecules, we coupled the diode laser with an erbium doped fiber amplifier in order to increase the optical power up to 1.4 watt. The laser was focused within the acoustic detection module, and you can see here the quartz fork coupled with the two microresonator tubes, which aim at amplifying the acoustic wave. And here you can see the gas sending system. So the patient can breathe through the system, and flow and pressure conditions are controlled. We started with the sensor calibration, so we employed a gas cylinder containing a certified concentration of 10 ppm of ammonia in nitrogen, and we demonstrate and verified the linearity of the sensor responsivity with the ammonia concentration in this range, and also we achieved the minimum detection concentration of 14 ppbs using a lock-in integration time of 1 second. The minimum detection limit can be also improved, so lowered by increasing the lock-in integration time. For example, for by performing an Lander analysis, we verified that using a lock-in integration time of 10 seconds, the minimum detection concentration can be lowered down to 3 ppbs. Then we made some preliminary tests on healthy volunteers. So they were some colleagues of us. As you can see, 3 different subjects breathed through the system several times, and as you can see, the signal is extremely stable, and when you see some peaks, it depends on how the subject is breathing through the system, and we measured concentration of around 225 ppbs per each person. So in this case, we were targeting just one gas molecule and one absorption line of this molecule. However, often harmful greenhouse pollutant and also volatile organic compounds gases belong to the class of broadband absorbers. So this means, and often, especially for environmental monitoring purposes, multi-gas detection is needed. And often we need to target several absorption lines which are far apart in the infrared spectral range. So we need a multi-gas detection technique. Quartz-enhanced photoacoustic spectroscopy is a multi-gas detection technique because as I already showed you, the responsivity of the detector is flat, and it does not depend on the wavelength of the laser source. Let's talk about sources for multi-gas detection. So, as you know, laser diode, QCLs and ICLs have high power single mode emission. They can be continuously tuned, but within a limited tuning range. So sometimes a single laser source is not enough for performing multi-gas detection. For this reason, we developed a sensor using a Vernier effect QCL as the light source. It consists in a 3-section diffused Bragg reflector, QCL, with a back and a front resistor. And depending on the current which is injected through the back or the front resistor, different wavelength emission ranges can be achieved. Here you can see all the spectral characterization of this laser source. So as you can see, by varying the current injected to the front or to the back resistor, we can identify 10 emission clusters within a spectral range which is as wide as 150 inverse centimeters. Unfortunately, some of these configuration exhibit a multi-mode emission, which is not suitable for spectral measurements, for spectrometry. So we had to study all the emissions and all the configuration, and we were able to identify 4 configuration, which allowed us to detect ambient relevant target gases, greenhouse or direct or indirect greenhouse gases, which are carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and water. Here you can see the simulation of the cross-section of these gases together with the, which is the continuous line, together with the emission power of the laser source. And as you can see here, for the CO2, we do not expect to be able to reconstruct completely the absorption feature of CO2 because there's no emission on this side. Well, again, we started with the sensor calibration. So we employed a gas cylinder of 10 ppm of carbon monoxide in humidified nitrogen, 10 ppm of N2O in humidified nitrogen, and was 10,000 ppm, so 1% of CO2. We diluted this concentration in order to verify the linearity of the sensor responsivity with the concentration of the gases. And we obtained for an integration time of the lock-in of 10 seconds, minimum detection limits of 1 ppb for CO, 1.5 ppb for N2O, and 10 ppm for CO2. We also tested the long-term stability of the sensor, so we flowed a concentration of 2% of water vapor through the sensor, and we monitored the peak, the absorption peak for more than 1 hour. And as you can see, it's the signal is very stable. Then we tested the performance of our laboratory, our sensor in our laboratory. So we performed a measurement which lasted more or less about 4 hours. We started with the configuration that allowed us to detect the CO2. And here you can see the peak, the absorption peak we extracted for the first 20 minutes. Then we moved to the configuration that allowed us to detect CO, and then water, and then N2O. Here you can see the measured average concentration for each gas, and they matched the typical average concentration reported in literature for these gases for an indoor environment. So we obtained very nice results which have been just accepted for publications. There's only one drawback. This is a picture of the sensor. It's a laboratory benchwork sensor, so it's not portable. But the point is that for real-world application, we even more need for portable sensors. For example, this is the sensor we have developed together with Labs for the detection of methane. It's going to be released soon. And why did they decide to invest on methane detection? Because there are so many applications for methane detection in petrochemical industry, precision agriculture, depth sensing, environmental monitoring. But the point is that often detecting methane is not enough. We need to detect methane together with something else. That's why we developed our custom, compact, and versatile box sensor that is composed of 2 CAPA systems. The first one here, it's indicated with S1. which consists in, there's the QCL here, so a laser source, and here's a focusing lens, and this is the acoustic detection module. The second one, this one, is devoid of the laser source. The laser source is set externally. So it just consists in the focusing lens, which is here, and the acoustic detection module. This configuration makes the sensor extremely versatile, because depending on the application, depending on which gas molecule we need to detect together with methane, we just select the proper laser source, we collimate it on the focusing lens, and we perform our measurement. So this box can be used to detect methane and any gas which has absorption features within the infrared spectral range. We developed, demonstrated the operation of this box for environmental monitoring purposes. We detected the methane together with the nitric oxide, which is an ozone depleting gas. With both sensors, we were also able to detect water. As always, we started with the sensor calibration. So here you can see the responsivity of the sensor for the detection of methane for concentration ranging from 1 to 90 ppm. While here you can see the responsivity of the second system when detecting nitric oxide in a range from 10 ppm down to 0.1. We achieved minimum detection limits of 48 ppb for methane detection and 11 ppb for nitric oxide detection. This minimum detection limit for methane is fairly lower than the concentration of methane in air, which is around 1.9 ppm. While actually we don't know which is the minimum detection limit needed for nitric oxide detection, because in principle we do not expect to have nitric oxide in air. It does not appear in the standard concentration of air, but it's a result of combustion. So there's a limit, for example, in the European law, dealing with the overall concentration of NOx in air, which should not exceed 200 ppb. However, some of our colleagues made measurements on the diesel engine exhaust, and they measured the NO concentration as high as several tenths of ppms. Okay, we demonstrated our sensor for environmental monitoring. So here you can see a 20 minutes long measurement. We simultaneously measured water with the two sensors, and as you can see, we have the same trend. And we also measured the concentration of methane and the concentration of nitric oxide in air. And we obtained average values that match the typical indoor values. Well, so in this presentation, I showed you how powerful quartz-enhanced photoacoustic spectroscopy can be for the development of gas sensors for real-world application. And in particular, I showed you the results we obtained with the two laboratory workbench sensors, the first for ammonia detection in the human breath, the second one for CO and CO2 and water vapor detection in air. And the third one is instead a box sensor that allows the detection of methane together with any infrared absorber molecule in air. Let me thank my research group in Bari, and thank you for your attention.